This is the Real Estate Investing 365 podcast, your go-to source for real estate investing strategies so you can start living the life you want and get where you want to go. With your host, Justin Hanna.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Investing 365. Today I got an awesome guy with me. His name is Jaromy Tagg from Richland, Washington. He is the owner of Mid-Columbia Property Solutions. What's up, Jaromy? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Justin. This is awesome.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, so let's just get started, and I'd like to dive into where did you come from before real estate? Like, kind of give me a little history about you, and then we'll jump into how you got into the real estate business and what you're doing.
Sure. And I'll give you a nutshell version of this because I've had some pretty crazy stuff happen throughout my life to be here. But long story short, I was born in the Midwest, moved out to the West Coast. I'm out in Washington State, like you said, in Richland, Washington, and got here when I was about 5 years old, grew up here. I was a troubled teen, you could say, and I lived a pretty rough life. And I, had a big chip on my shoulder. My parents had split and remarried 3 times each. And sorry, Mom and Dad, I exposed you on this if you're watching this. But I love them dearly. And long story short, I was just leading a life of rebellion, and I got really into guitar and got really good at guitar. And started getting into professional music at a young age. So about 16, I recorded my first album and got it locally. And then we went on tour, and I dropped out of high school, and I went full tilt with music. And then from there, I got into some trouble, and decided after I got into some trouble over those couple years of fighting through that, to turn my life around. So when I decided to do that, I read this cool book called Think and Grow Rich, and by Napoleon Hill. And I decided to start teaching guitar full time and clean up my life. And that led me to guys like Tony Robbins and guys like sales guys like Brian Tracy and Grant Cardone, and just the plethora of sales and personal development and business, and got really serious about business. And we had some success with this cool little guitar school, and teaching about 150 students a week. I started being like, man, I want to start investing my money that I'm making. And so everything turned to real estate. I read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and one of Dean Graziosi's books, and just learned about wholesaling, and I was like, that can't be real. And here I am now involved in real estate full time. This month is actually 2 years since I learned about wholesaling, and I have not been teaching guitar anymore, and am doing real estate full time and have a team of 5. So it's awesome.
Sweet. Yeah, that sounds like a good story. So I'm sure everybody that's listening does know, but wholesaling, can you explain what wholesaling is to somebody that might not know?
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically what we do is we don't buy the property. What we do is we're more of a marketing and sales company where we find off-market distressed properties, and then we get them under contract with the seller at a deep discount, usually 40, 50 cents on the dollar. And then what we do is we then market that to investment partners or buyers. A lot of people call it a buyer's list. And from there, they buy the property from us. So for example, if we have the property at 90,000 and we market it at 100, they pay the 100,000, they take over the contract, and they pay us 10, and the seller gets the 90, they get their new property. And so our profit margins are those assignment fees. So we're not making reoccurring revenue through passive income. We're basically flipping houses. It's called quick flipping paper. It's a lot of different names for it, but I hope I explained it decently.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's cool. So let's, how did you exactly, you dove into all these entrepreneurial type people like Tony Robbins, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and what's Dean Graziosi, is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's got a big wholesaling kind of type business, doesn't he? I'm not
Yeah,
super
I
familiar.
think he just sells education at this point, but he did tons of real estate deals back in the day, like 20 years ago, and then he's been making infomercials and stuff for a long time with education. But he definitely knows what's up. But I actually ended up buying another mentorship program with Cody Sperber, who he's connected with, and that's who I ended up formally being educated by.
Okay, so that's how you got introduced to the wholesaling thing. And
Yeah.
okay, so how did that all start? So let's kind of go back to maybe your first. I'm sure you started it doing it on the side while you were still doing your guitar business, right?
Yes. Yep.
So let's walk through how that first happened. Did you like how did you get started? What exactly were the steps and processes?
So good question. Basically, I and I'm trying to keep this all short for the listeners too.
Yeah.
Um, I learned about wholesaling. I was like, there's no way that's real. And I went and talked to an attorney about it. And he's like, oh, yeah, I've done 20 deals. You can do that. You know, your paperwork looks good, man. Go for it. And I understand it, you know, the concept, but I didn't have proof. So I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to start marketing? And really, I guess leading up to this point, to taking, you know, a step back even further, I just wanted another source of income. You know, I was like, man, teaching guitar all day, I'm trading my time for money. You know, I'm like going and I'm teaching and I'm making okay money, and I'm living my dream. And at that point, I had consolidated my students. So I was only working like 20 hours a week. You know, I was teaching group classes and all that. And so I had all this extra time and I was like, I need to start a side business or invest my money in something. So I was looking at multi-level marketing. I was looking at drop shipping. I was looking at becoming an agent. I thought even like, maybe I'll go sell cars on the weekend because I'm a really good sales guy. And so I just wanted more out of life at this point. And so when I found wholesaling, I was like, if that is real, I can kill it at that. Because I don't know anyone around here who does that. But then I look back now, I'm like, I didn't know anyone really ever,
Yeah.
other than people that I taught guitar and hung out, you know, my guitar buddies. But so not realizing there was competition, not even knowing or thinking that it was real, I was like, you know what, whatever, I'll see. So I built my buyers list first. And what I did is I just put out some bandit signs. A lot of people say this is bad practice, and I'm on the fence about it, honestly. I don't care, to be honest, but you put like, oh, 3-1 house, $50,000 on a bandit sign and your phone lights up, and you talk to a bunch of buyers. And I ended up just being like, you know what, I'm just trying to network with people. This is the fastest way. I figured it out, instead of lying to him and, oh, that one's gone, you know, like, sorry. I
Yeah.
just used it to network. And I had like an extra cell phone. I had like a pad of paper and pen. I didn't have like anything, you know, other than like this contract I got with the $500 wholesaling program I bought from Cody, which is awesome, by the way. Subtle plug there, but I don't make any money on that. But either way, I got into it and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go find a deal. I don't know how yet because I have these buyers. I had like 100 buyers on my buyers list, and I was just driving to the UPS store, and I ripped around my corner that afternoon, and I see there's a for sale by owner sign in the corner lot, and there's a door open, and there's a truck in the driveway. I'm like, well, shoot, I'll just pull over. Why not? You know, that was just still, I was a go-getter then. I was in a 3-piece suit, and I had really, you know, been like, oh, rah, rah, like Tony Robbins in state, you know, all the time. And still am, but I was like, go getting it right then. So
Yeah.
I was like on a mission, and I pull over I knock on the door. He's like, what's going on? And I'm like, see a for sale sign in your front yard. And he goes, yeah, I put it out there like 15 minutes ago. And I was like, sure, well, let's put a deal together. You know, I was going at him pretty aggressively. I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm like, how much do you want for the place? He goes, 90,000. I'm like, well, shoot, I know for a fact that I don't know much about real estate, but I know that's cheap for what he's wanting. I go, okay, well, if I ran home and grabbed a purchase and sale agreement, would you sell it for 90K? He's like, well, can you actually buy it? I'm like, honestly, I'm probably not going to be your buyer, but I'm connected with a bunch of guys. And if you let me sell the contract, I'll get you 90K for it. And he's like, seriously? I'm like, yeah, okay, we got a deal. He's like, I
Wow.
don't care. He's like, I don't care what you do with it. As long as you get me 90K in 30 days, like you're saying, do whatever you want, man. And so basically I went home, came back, we wrote it up. I had no clue what the contract was saying. Like, he asked me questions. I'm like, oh, you know attorneys. And like looking back, I was like, gosh, Jeremy, you're just such a ding dong. And it was like, and looking back, it's so funny, but I was just taking massive, massive action. And I was like, um, shooting it out to my buyers. It was actually not that great of a deal, come to find out. It was like a pretty thin deal.
Yeah.
But for somebody who would buy and hold it, it would be good. And if I had gotten it today, it would be a great deal too. This was 2 years ago in October. So we ended up having a buyer come by, and they were kind of some newer guys who are actually flippers in the area and wholesalers in the area. And they were just getting started too. And they're like, well, yeah, we like it. What do we do? And so we ended up putting it all together, and they kind of knew what they were doing, and I kind of knew what I was doing. We took it all to the title company, and they sort of knew what they were doing. They hadn't really dealt with it before. And we put it all together, and I was just biting my nails for 30 days. Just kept me up at night, and I was like studying like crazy. And so during that time, because I was so nervous, I started like networking more, and I landed another deal during that time too. Long story short, we ended up getting that deal done. We made $10,000 on it. That was how we got our first deal done. And I say I got it done, but the team we have now. I got it done. We made 10K, and man, it was like playing electric guitar for the first time again. It was like proof of concept. I was like hooked. I was like, dude, where's the needle? I need this. I'm hooked. I can do this. I'm like, I'm not playing guitar anymore. I'm not freaking doing anything. I'm becoming a wholesaler in the Tri-Cities.
That's freaking awesome.
So yeah, that was our first deal.
So to back up on and dig into that a little bit. So you got the contract from this course that you had taken, right? So it was just a generic contract nationwide. Did you didn't even think to do anything specific for Washington? You just said, this is it. I'll just use this.
Well, I talked to my attorney. I'd showed it to him, but he didn't do anything. Like he was like, and come to realize it said Arizona time. So later, but he just like, so he was just like, yeah, it looks good. I just networked with him. I wasn't there for like an actual consultation. It was just a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, this looks good. I've done wholesale deals. Cool, man. See you later.
Right.
And so, yeah, basically knowing nothing.
Right. And I guess the contracts really are only important if something goes wrong. As long as everything goes right, it doesn't even matter what the contract says, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at it. Okay, cool. So, and then you had your buyers list because you just started putting up bandit signs. And as people would call, you would say, I actually don't really have a deal. I'm just trying to get a list because I'm going to plan. I'm actively looking for deals. And would you like me to call you if I happen to come across one? Is that what you did?
That's what I did. Yep.
And I'm surprised you got 100 people or so, or a few.
Dude, yeah, our market here is crazy. So it's intense, but yeah, we got a ton of calls on it, but it was a very aggressive sign. And a lot of people called me out too. They were like, so are you a wholesaler, like trying to build your buyers list, or is this a real deal? Cause those don't usually come around like that.
Well, I mean, what's really wrong with that? You know what I mean? Like, if you are just trying to build your buyers list, it's like, well, listen, if you contact me and I have a good deal, maybe I'll call you, and then that should be good for them and you, right? I mean,
yeah, it's just a stigma, man. A lot of people are haters, and yeah, that's okay. Like they can just be negative and live their negative lives and have their opinions. So that's okay.
Sweet. Okay, so you got the list. You decided to go knock on this guy's door. I guess door is open, and you walked in there. You made a deal, and so what happens if you go and you have that purchase and sale agreement with the guy for $90,000, and then you don't bring a buyer? Does it just nothing really happens? I guess it just goes and the contract falls through, and then he continues to sell it, or?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So this is where wholesalers can get a really bad rap. And I do have a line of ethics here. So a lot of people have this opinion. They say, okay, if you can't buy the deal, you shouldn't be wholesaling the deal. You know what? I say I do agree with that. But at the same time, how do you expect someone to get started as well if they can't purchase that deal right out the gate. You know what I mean? And they have no money. So I see both sides of the coin. I stand somewhere in the middle on that opinion. But what we do is if we know now it's a tight deal, then we tell the seller up front, hey, this is a tight deal for us. We're actually just going to wholesale your house. And if we can't find a buyer, I'm sorry. Are you okay with that? And if we get an okay, then we'll go through with the deal. And some of the times we do have to drop those deals, or generally what happens, I would say 95% of the time, is we just renegotiate, because by getting them on paper committed, then the floodgate a lot of the time at that point actually comes out of their true motivation that you haven't dug into in the sales process prior.
About why they really want to sell it at just kind of price.
Yeah, but for me at that point, yeah, I would have had to have been like, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm sorry, I got to walk from this property. But
Right.
I put all those contingencies in there and my inspection period and all that. And, like I said, a lot of people, I got a lot of flack for it in the beginning. We have a very elitist community out here. And I got a lot of crap talked to me about that. And I
Just about the
still,
bandit signs, really.
that and just being a wholesaler. And I haven't bought a house still traditionally. I have not bought a house. We've 100% wholesaled, and then we've done some subject to for cash flow, but then I cashed out on those ones too. So,
I mean, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that, but I can see people are weird, man. You know what I mean?
yeah,
People get biases for no reason all the time. So,
yeah, but I'm here to say that wholesalers are eye to eye with buy and holders and eye to eye with flippers. And honestly, wholesaling to me is actually not a assignment of contract. Wholesaling is buying at wholesale prices. Wholesaling is, hey, I run a marketing and sales company, and exit strategy is assignment of contract. Exit strategy is fix and flip. Exit strategy is BRRRR. If you don't, I believe in the next 5 years, especially with iBuyers coming out right now, if you don't get the marketing and sales game down, dude, you're going to get washed out as an investor. You're not going to be able to get good deals. You may,
yeah.
but not consistently.
Yeah, no, I totally agree on that. Because honestly, like, people should look at wholesalers. Most investors don't want to go out and do the marketing to like find the deals and talk to the owners and get the good deals. They just want to, most investors want it just to be easy, right? They just want to like find the deal. Oh, the numbers make sense. Let me write a check and then I'll get a property manager to run the property. That's what most people want to do. So they come to a wholesaler who's willing to do the marketing and the due diligence and the research and find the good properties. So I'm on your side, man. I totally think it's I use them as like a partner, and you get me the good deals, I'll make you money, you make me money. We're all kosher here. You know what I mean?
It's an ecosystem that we are in.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, cool. So after you got that first deal, while you were studying and doing everything, you actually landed another deal. Let's just dive into that one real quick. What was that one? How'd that happen?
So that one, literally right during that same time. So we had a new guy coming down. So at this point in my life, I was actually planning to move to Chicago. I left that out earlier. We were trying to expand our business, and we had an investor who wanted to invest in the guitar school and basically franchise it nationwide. And so we were like, boom, this is the ticket. We're going big time. And I had been flying back and forth from Chicago, and I started feeling some like fishiness, and like things weren't adding up with this investor who was, selling us the dream and all this stuff. And we were preparing for me to move. So we had to replace me in the business. And to replace me, we needed 3 guitar teachers to take over my one position, basically, because I had loaded my schedule like with 120 to 150 students a week. I was just a madman. So,
Yeah.
and I was bringing an employee, and he stayed at our house for a few days. And I don't know if you've ever taken guitar lessons or anything like that, but there is definitely a stigma with guitar teachers, and it's true. A lot of them are just weirdos and they stink, and it's like it's weird, man. Anyways, It's a weird community. So this guy, he's cool, but I'm like, dude, we got to find you a place to live. And he's like broke. And I'm like, man, okay, you're broke. Well, when I was broke, this was my landlady. So I called up my old landlady, and I had been paying her like $400 or $500 a month to live in a 384 square foot little house when I was like 19. And so I wasn't living there at the time. Call her up and I say, hey, you remember me? She's like, of course, you're an amazing tenant. And well, I got a friend and he's coming to work for us, and I wanted to know if you had any openings. She's like, I do, but I want you to know that I won't own them very much longer because my dad just passed away and my husband just had a brain aneurysm, and we have decided to liquidate everything we got. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how much real estate do you have? And she's like, oh, we've got about 60 plus doors right now over about 30 properties. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, well, funny thing, I just got into real estate. And she goes, BS. And I'm editing this all year. She curses like a sailor. She's like, BS, you're an effing guitar teacher. You don't have money. This is how she literally talked. Like, she was just like very, very harsh woman. Yeah. And we're dear friends to this day. But long story short, I was like, look, this is what I do. I did the same pitch. I was like, I'll find a buyer. I'll get you top cash dollar and let's go. And she's very nervous. And she said, okay, let's do one. And she gave me the worst one. And it was like this cat pee house is what we called it. And it was just like, you could, no exaggeration, no hyperbole. You could literally smell it to the street. And it was probably about a solid, like 20 yards from the door to the street. It was like, gross. Bad. It was disgusting. Anyways, we got it for an okay deal. It was another slim deal. It took me forever. I had no clue what I was doing. We ended up like doing some weird close on it where I got paid outside of closing, and it was so weird, but we got it done. And she didn't believe it, that it was going to get done, and it did. And we did another one. And then I was just like, man, I want to get this entire estate. That was my goal. And I wrote it out, and I was writing it out like every single day. I'm going to get this entire estate. I'm going to get this entire estate. And I visualized it every single night, and I was so obsessed with it. But she didn't want me to do the whole thing. And I only asked once, like, hey, have you considered just, having someone do this? She's like, no, I'm going to do it myself. And I'm going to hire this realtor who's like the number one realtor in the area with a good brokerage. I'm like, okay, well, if you need any help, it was after the second one. It's like, if you need any help, I know these ones have been a little crazy with me, but you know what, just feel free to reach out at any time. And I just did the takeaway, and I walked away from the deal. And sure enough, she called me a week later and she says, hey, I've got some buyers who want to pay X amount of money for these 4 houses in a package. I go, well, what? No, Debbie, you said you wanted top dollar. I can get you 10K more on each one of those. And I knew I could. And I was like, and she's like, really? Okay. And I'm like, let's get it going. I did it. We closed that one in like 5 days. Like that was, and it was like, boom, that was the magic ticket. She's like, hey dude, I'm firing the realtor. I can't handle this stress just after leaving her alone for a week. And I'd really built huge rapport, and I knew her for years, Yeah. Long story short, she's like, take it over, dude. So I got the entire estate, and we sold them one by one. We ended up, I think, entirely in her estate, it was about $4 million altogether in amount of real estate transactions. We ended up doing over 6 figures in assignment fees in 6 months, selling that estate. And that's what launched my business ultimately. And it was just such a blessing. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I ended up wholesaling the house I lived in.
Yeah?
That was a trip.
Because were you still renting from her a different house, or
I was in a different house, not from her. And so my old house, I did wholesale.
Huh.
So, yeah.
So let's take real quick. I have one question about that. So when she had come to you and said, listen, I have somebody who wants to buy these 4 properties, and you said, Debbie, no, like I can get you 10,000 more. So you knew that, like, let's say it was, they were going to buy all 4 for 400,000, and you were like, no, I can get you 440. And you knew that you could have a buyer for 480 for all 4.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it was? You just knew that you could wholesale it for more?
I had a bunch of people. What had happened is, as I posted those 2 deals that I had, her her 2 deals, so 3 deals in total at this point, my buyers list got huge because just tons of eyeballs were on this, and there weren't a lot of wholesale deals around at that point. And so, yeah, I just had built this, and a lot of people were hitting me up. They were like, "Hey, dude, like, I know that she owns like all," because I was like, "Hey, I'm really trying to get more properties. I think she has some." And they're like, "Dude, if you can convince her, I will pay X amount for these properties." So I was like, "Look, I have someone lined up who will buy these." And she's like, "Okay, let's go." And we closed them in 5 days.
Okay, so people in the area knows who this lady is because she had so many properties, kind of. So,
Well, I'm trying to give the shortened version.
oh
There were
yeah,
so many things that happened and transpired in the story. So what had happened is I told her, "I don't really want you to be at the walkthroughs." I told her that, and she is like conspiracy theorist, like I said, like hardcore crazy. Like, she loves fishing, so she's like a sailor woman. Like, she's like she lives on the Oregon coast now. She's a total awesome lady, but she just like was so weary of this process that she stayed at the house while I brought like 20 buyers through. And she told all of them that she had more houses for sale because they started talking her, trying to negotiate behind my back with her a deal. And I'm like, "Dude, this is why I told you to leave." And I had no clue what I was doing. I'm like, a guitar teacher who thought I was a hotshot guitar player, sales guy, realizing, man, you're spineless, and dude, you're going to get these investors are going to eat your lunch, dude. So like, basically they started trying to do backdoor deals with her, and
right.
like, dude, it was like herding cats. And then like, I was like, okay. And that's what essentially made the split, because she's like, "Well, thanks for bringing me all those buyers. It was really nice. Like, I'll just take it from here." It's like,
Right.
whatever. Like, I thought it was like done deal. Like, but I kept that's what I was talking about. I kept visualizing, I'm gonna get this deal. I'm gonna make this happen. Affirmations every day. And like, anyways, yeah, there's a lot of nuances that I'm not covering.
Sure.
It's a wild ride.
That's
for
cool.
sure.
Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And that got your business going, and you got all those deals out of it and everything. So, so for the person that's listening that doesn't want to do wholesaling necessarily, but they want to work with wholesalers, how does somebody know, that, hey, this wholesaler is not just like feeding me a line of crap and like selling me a house for overpriced and just trying to like take advantage of me, especially because there's a lot of people going out of state trying to get in touch with wholesalers. How does somebody kind of like vet the right people or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I'm around legit wholesalers. I've been a mastermind with some of the best in the country right now, and I can definitely define that for you. So first and foremost, I think what you're asking is very, very important for the listener who doesn't want to wholesale and maybe is buying out of state or even in their hometown, is awesome. And step one is never, even if I come to you with a property, don't trust me. Trust your numbers, trust you, and trust your investment philosophy, because what I think is a good deal may not be a good deal for you. So basically, first and foremost, before we even talk about that, I would say define your investment philosophy. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm sure you have an investment philosophy, right? That
Sure. Absolutely.
So for me, I'm defining, I'm going to start buying and holding now. So it's like, I'm defining what is a deal, and everything else, if it doesn't meet these things specifically, I pass, period, point blank. And then the next part is if you're doing out of state, especially, but no matter what, have somebody like a very investor friendly agent on your side who can give you comparables and who can help really identify good properties, so that if you are doing like a BRRRR strategy, or if you are doing a fix and flip and you're on a time crunch or something like that, and you need it to appraise, then you need to have good comparables for that place. As well as, then you probably want to get in touch with another person, which is your property management company, because a property management company who's a rock star management company, they're going to be able to tell you how much rents are in the area. They're going to be able to tell you the neighborhood, and also call up the local police department, check out the neighborhoods, things like that. We still do that. We don't wholesale in certain areas because we just are like, we stay out of those areas. So these are all things that we do and we recommend our best buyers to do. So start with your investment philosophy and have a systematic or systematized due diligence process that you go through, that you can say, hey, Jeremy, you know what? I think that looks like a great fix and flip. I'm not fixing and flipping right now. I'm out.
Right.
You know, if you watch Shark Tank kind of thing, like each one of those people has an investment philosophy and niche. So all they're looking for, sure, it may be a great moneymaker, but I don't personally invest in that. So I'm out. It doesn't mean it's a good deal for someone else.
Right. Yeah, definitely know your numbers. So what you're saying is investment philosophy as far as, have the specific types of property that you're looking for, know your numbers, the type of return you want to get, the type of tenant you want to have, the class property it's going to be, and stick to that. Like, don't just get caught up in the deal, right? And say, I just got to get a deal. I got to get a deal. And you're just going to buy the next thing that pops up. I mean, that's how people get into trouble.
Yeah. And that's how wholesalers get a bad name, is
Right.
because the wholesaler doesn't know either. You know, I just look at myself. I got really lucky. So far, unless the buyer makes a huge mistake, I've had nothing but home runs. Even that first deal that I did, even the second deal I did that were slim, the buyers that bought that, they're coming out to buy another property from us tomorrow. So it's like they ended up making money on it, even though it was a slim deal.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's still cash flowing for them. But they went through the due diligence process. And that's why I said it was a roller coaster ride, because I would have to go renegotiate with, Debbie, and I'd have to go back to them. I was kind of playing like an agent almost, which is not legal, but I was still like figuring it out, making sure that the numbers worked for her and the numbers worked for the investor. And I was just the messenger. And as the wholesaler, I am just the messenger. That's up to you. And that's what we always say. We say, hey, look, do your own due diligence. When we assign the contract, there is all the clauses in there like, hey, you're taking all the risk on this. You've done your due diligence, no inspection, etc. But know your numbers. Get in touch with someone like Justin, or get in touch with a real estate coach, that can help you to analyze deals, and understand that, how much do I want to make? What are the returns? What can I spend, etc. And then go from there. Because there's wholesalers that maybe get like one deal a year and it's the best deal ever, and they didn't even realize that. There were deals that I had in the beginning that I look back and I see how much money my investor made on it. I'm like, dude, I left so much money on the table where it would have still been a win-win for both parties. And they just took me to the cleaners because they knew and I didn't. And I was just trying to be like, yeah, I'll take $10,000. They're like, cool. They flip it, make 150. I'm like, what? Like, that was not what I got for my ARV. You know what I mean? So sometimes there's that too. And do that. If they're giving you a good deal, build the relationship with them. With that specific deal, I've sold, a couple $1 million worth of real estate to that gentleman, but we've done a lot of business together. So I don't resent that by any means, but, and don't feel bashful about going to a wholesaler. And I will say this too, if you come to me and you're going to try and lowball me, good luck. That's not going to happen, because I'm already pricing my properties very competitively now. So if a wholesaler does have something overpriced, instead of just hating on them at first or ragging on them or lowballing them, just go with compassion. Be like, look, dude, like I'm not seeing what you're seeing, and maybe we can work something out here. If you could tell me just like, I mean, are you trying to make like $5,000 out of this? And they're like, yeah, cool. Well, let's go negotiate with the seller together. And let's just get them down another 20 is where we need to be. I'll pay you your 5 and let's get out of the deal. Because a lot of these guys that are new, dude, I would have been stoked. And I was stoked when I was making $3,000. I was like, dude, that's awesome. I still am, but it's not as good as like a $60,000 assignment fee,
Right.
So
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's good advice. I mean, and a simple but good book for really like if somebody's getting started and just is that Long Distance Real Estate Investing by David Green. It's just really simple, and it breaks down exactly what you're talking about, trying to find a team there, find an agent, how to find the right agent, how to find the right property manager. Has a lot of good steps, but there's tons of other resources out there by other people, and obviously bigger pockets and all that stuff. So yeah, no, that's good advice, Jeremy. Thank you for that. So
Yeah,
that's,
and
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say just one more thing. Get a coach, get a mentor, get somebody in the game. If I didn't have Cody, and I know that a lot of people, again, another controversial topic of online gurus and things like that, but seriously, it works as long as you're going to work it. And it's all the same information. They're all going to tell you to do basically the same thing, but just get a process and follow it. That's it. Just take massive action. A to B. That's it. That's all you want to do is
Right.
find the process, pay a little money for somebody to show you how to do it, invest in yourself, and go do it.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely, yeah, for one of those coaches is like, well, if somebody's out there already teaching what they've done, well, you can just short step the process, right? If it took them 5 years to get from A to B, and they're going to teach you everything, but you got to pay them a little bit of money, obviously, for their time and their processes. Well, you just cut out maybe 3 years of their process. And a lot of people think too, it's like the hockey stick curve or whatever, where they think, okay, it took me these first 5 years to make, $50,000. I think it's going to take another 5 years to make another 50 grand. Well, it's not really that way. As long as you stick with the process and you start learning, just like you went from one deal to another one, then all of a sudden you got this portfolio of 60 and now you're doing all this stuff. It's like a hockey stick, right? It's like flat, 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 flat. And you're learning, and all of a sudden it'll just take off, and the time that it'll take you to exceed gets shortened, all the, infinite. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You
Yeah,
know what I
for
mean? It
sure.
gets
You
shortened.
can't afford to not do it. And
Right.
I'm serious. The amount of money that I've spent, quote unquote, on coaching, it's not a spend, it's an investment. I'm heading out to Atlanta in a week to go hang out with Ken Corsini and Cody Sperber. And him and his wife do the HGTV thing, and for Flip or Flop. And we're going to go learn about flipping houses. I was just at an event in Phoenix, and we have our monthly events here. And it's just like, surround yourself with this stuff, immerse yourself. If you're serious about it, like, here's the thing. You like Andy Frisella?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love him. Right.
Oh yeah.
I got to meet him a couple weeks ago. It was awesome, but he talks about it. I love the concept of, dude, if you're gonna live mediocrity and be okay with it. Like,
Yeah.
dude, cool. Like, I still respect you, but stop trying to complain about all this other stuff that is so hard. Just go do it or don't do it. Stop complaining in the middle and being a victim. So
Right.
if you're sitting here listening to this and you're like, man, life is so hard, you got a decision to make. Dude, start investing really hardcore and just immerse yourself in everything you possibly can with it, or don't, because if you get stuck in the middle, you're going to be suffering and
Yeah.
miserable because it doesn't work.
I totally agree. That's a whole nother topic. I tell my wife
Yeah.
all the time, though, is like, man, the people that annoy me most of my life, the people that complain about not having money or they can't lose weight, but yet they're eating that cookie or they're freaking buying beer on the weekend. I'm like, okay, well, they're not really doing anything about what they are complaining about. So anyways, that's another topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So let's fast forward now. So where are you at now in your business? How many houses are you guys doing a year? What's your team look like? Where are you headed? Where do you want to go?
Okay, good question. So right now, houses per year, right now, I guess we're technically at like 50. We're on track to do over 50 this year. And, but I'm not really looking at that anymore, that number. So shifting, so where we're headed, what my team looks like and where we're headed. My team right now, including me, is 5. And then we have 2 part-time guys who do like driving for dollars for us. And so 7, but we've got an agent, an acquisition manager, and 2 virtual assistants and myself.
Okay. So do they work for another brokerage, or they work directly for you, or how does that work?
So they are with Keller Williams.
Uh-huh.
And so our acquisition manager is married to the agent, And so we have a power couple, and so husband and wife just crushing real estate for us. So, but she takes our listings now. We figured out how we can actually list our properties on the MLS out here, and you can make so much more money doing that.
Is that what you call wholetailing?
Not quite. So we're still assigning the contract. So a wholesale is when we would actually close on it, maybe clean it up a little bit, and then sell it, or we just close on it and then we sell it to like a conventional buyer or something like that who will pay more for it. But what we're doing is we're just actually assigning the contract, and we're just using the MLS to market it to retail cash buyers.
Wow. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. So we thought it was illegal. Not a lot of people do it. It's kind of like underground practice right now for a lot of people. But Keller Williams was like, dude, that sounds amazing. And I mean, so she does all of our dispositions now. So we're transferring out dispositions. I was doing that. I'm actually playing acquisitions again. So I test marketing and I test sales processes and I train my sales team. And then we have another acquisitions guy who's an absolute rock star. And then we have two virtual assistants that are generating us leads through cold calling, texting, direct mail, bandit signs, SEO, PPC, all that good stuff. And where we're headed is into a cash flowing machine of a business. And being that my goal is now to be able to have wider margins. So I would rather make 60% net profit margins to the owner on $500,000 than have $1 million business and only be making, say, like 5 or 10% of that. Right. If that makes sense. And a lot of people are running these businesses like on a float, basically. I don't know if you're familiar with that term. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, they're just barely, like, they're literally like 2 bad months away from closing their doors.
Their gross volume is high, but their net and what they're taking home is very little. So it's like they're skimming the top the whole time.
Right. So I read the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, and it like completely blew my mind. And I was like, man, so I restructured the entire business, and I'm continually restructuring it right now to where we're basically trying to cut down our marketing expenses from like about 20% down to about 5 to 10. And my ultimate goal, what I'm cooking up that I'm not going to share on this podcast right now, is to cut them down to 0 and actually have a leg of the business that now generates revenue, and we have literally neutralized our expenses. Right. So I'm not sharing that yet because I don't have proof of concept yet, but once I do, and I know a couple guys that do it, then I'd share it.
And we'll have you back in a year or two when you're killing it and tens of millions in net revenue.
Sure. Yeah. And the thing is that's my thing now is I want just a very awesome working machine, because wholesalers, they go through just roller coasters of they've got deals closing and it's feast or famine for most people. So I want less deals with wider spreads and getting less deals on a smaller marketing budget and creating wider spreads. So getting really tactical with marketing and really tactical with the sales process. And then from there, creating more revenue and having more freedom in my life. And so that's where it's going, as well as with all that cash that we're now generating, buying probably 1 out of every 5 deals, as long as it's a good deal, that I can now just sink cash into that house, fix it up a little bit, own it free and clear, build my net worth, and be cash flowing. Yeah. So that is where I'm headed right now. Into the new year, and I've also started a secondary business as well. So
sweet. All right, that sounds good. So you have a bunch of different ways that you are marketing, obviously, because you're a well-oiled running machine that's doing lots of deals. But if there was somebody that was just wanting to get into it, what would you say would be the best way for them to first start getting deals coming to them so they can start the business? Would it be direct mail or bandit signs, or what do you think?
Good question. So it's a really good question. So if you're a cash buyer, hook up with agents and and wholesalers. That's going to be your fastest way if you're a cash buyer listening to this. If you're a cash buyer wanting to source deals, or if you're just getting into this and you want to wholesale deals and you don't have a lot of money to get started, I would say go driving for dollars, meaning go drive around your neighborhoods. There's apps you can use. If you want, I can share the app and the
Yeah.
code I have. It's a Deal Machine. They're awesome.
Oh yeah.
And you can take pictures of the houses and then you can automatically send them postcards, or you can export the Excel spreadsheet and you can send them postcards that way. You can skip trace that data for really cheap, meaning you can find their phone number legally, and then you can call them and ask them if they want to sell the house. Or what I like to do, just door knock. I mean, just go up to the door and knock. It'll tell you if it's owner occupied or not. And if it's owner occupied, go up and knock on the door and just ask. Be like, hey, literally use this script. Be like, hey, Mr. Seller, I know this is totally random and you probably weren't expecting this today, but I've been actually talking to your neighbors in the area and I'm looking to buy a house. Just wanted to know if you'd ever thought about selling it. And that's it. Just very like bashful, like, hey, dude, like non-invasive. I just wanted to know if you wanted to sell. That's it.
Perfect.
They'll say, no, what's your offer? Or sure, I'd entertain, like a lot of the time, what's your offer is a no.
Yeah.
Or they'd be like, you know what? I've been thinking about it. What you got? Go from there.
Yeah.
Just talk to them.
No, that's awesome. And so pretty much it's like people need to just go out, get a list maybe from whatever the title company, the tax records, some sort of list of properties, or they could just drive for dollars and they find kind of distressed homes, just knock on the doors or something. And then to find a buyer's list, I guess they can do kind of what you did, put up bandit signs, which is controversial, like you're saying, or even just, right, you could start calling agents and say, do you guys have any people that are looking for investment properties? Or I guess a big thing too would be networking, right? Going to local meetups, real estate investing meetups, getting online, Bigger Pockets, or whatever else investing forums there are, and just start talking to people, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we actually started our own meetup, and it's been successful. And we bring a ton of wholesalers and a ton of people, and a lot of people are like, oh, other wholesalers are competition. It's like, dude, I think we're going to make next week, we close on it, we'll make $15K just by bringing buyers to a wholesale deal. That cost me nothing. Literally, the meetup actually makes us money on the front end, and we do deals and make those big checks on the back end.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the networking thing's key. So
Yep.
sweet. And then get a mentor, like you said,
get a
don't be afraid
mentor.
to spend the money. If you spend $500 or $1,000 or whatever, you're going to make that back as long as you take the advice and like go through the motions, right?
Yep. 100%, man.
Right on. Well, this is cool. Well, I would like in the future, to get back on and get like a deep dive into like running a wholesale business, but that could be a whole nother hour episode, because that could go on forever. But this is a good intro. So let's move to the next little section here. And what is a favorite resource that you like to use to learn about real estate investing, whether it's buy and hold, wholesaling, or whatever? Is it podcasts, books, mentorships, or anything like that? What do you like to use?
Yeah, I love this question because I'm a learning machine. Like, I just every day am consuming stuff. So for me, my favorite way to learn is the coaching and mentoring. I just like having somebody who's been there, done that. They understand the pain, they understand the struggle. Like, they may even still be doing that and going through pain and struggle, in their own right, and learning from them. That's my favorite thing. And I also, I guess, would tie that. It's tied. So mentoring and then a mastermind. I'm part of a mastermind group. And if you guys are doing 40 deals or more, you can apply to this mastermind group. And they just opened up another one. Again, I don't make any money for this. I'm just loving it so much. It's an online Facebook group that's a paying Facebook group. It's called Next Level Flipping. Big shout out to Ryan Robson and Jamie Burleson Woolley, for putting that on and founding that. And they have just the biggest players in the United States right now in there. Everybody who's somebody in this space nationwide is in that group right now. And so being able to go on there every day, like I literally like unfollowed everybody on Facebook. So if you're listening to this and you're my friend, sorry, you probably got unfollowed. But I only see posts from that and then close friends and family. That's it. So I love waking up and now looking at Facebook as an educational tool. And it inspired me to start my own group called Wholesaling Tips and Accountability. If you want to learn more, you can go there. It's free as well. It's a free group. And I love being a part of those groups on Facebook because I can go and I can be like, hey guys, like I am struggling today with my direct mail. Like, I don't know if it's my copy, my list, my provider, like what is going on? And then you'll have just a flood of like high level guys and guys that even own mail houses that are like, hey dude, this is this and this and this. This is what you need to do. Awesome. Thanks. Go implement it into my business. Boom. So I'm up and running again.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the last guy I interviewed, Charlie Harrison, he's in that next level flipping as well.
Yeah,
Him and
that's
his
how
partners.
we connected. Now that
That was.
Yeah.
That's funny. I
So
forgot
there
all
you
about
go.
that.
There you go. Right there. Proof of concept.
Look
It's
at
like
that.
mastermind. I don't even really know Charlie.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't even know most of these people on here. I've only met a couple face to face, but we all are just like go-givers. That's the whole mentality of the whole thing. And we're just giving away and giving our business. And yeah, so.
That's cool. That's awesome. Right on. Okay. What about a favorite app that you use that just makes your life 10 times easier?
Whew, there's a lot. There's some good ones. Like I said, Deal Machine, but a favorite app right now makes my life a lot easier. Can I look at my phone?
Yeah.
I'm using a lot of them. Shoot.
There's so many out there, and a lot of them, what people say is like Trello or Upwork and seeing things like that.
Yeah, I don't use a lot of that on my phone. I was gonna be kind of snarky and say my calculator because I use that all. I'm running back of the napkin numbers all day long on my calculator. But app wise, I really like Deal Machine, real estate related. Yeah. But everything else I do, we have a really killer CRM. And so everything I do, I try as much as I can to also like keep my work on my computer, but you know, I use email and stuff like that on my phone, but there's nothing that I'm like, oh, I have my phone, you know, and this app saves my life. It's like right now it's a machine. It's like a mix of everything. It's my CRM with these 4 apps and this service provider for lists and this mail house and this call tool that all connect together and they track your KPIs and all your KPIs land in this one place. So I've got it like automated now. I've really been automating a lot. Whereas with Trello and like Excel spreadsheets, things like that, they're very manual and brick and mortar still. So what I've been doing is kind of just automating a process that connects all together. Right. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. What CRM do you use?
I use Investor PO.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. And if the listeners want to see that, I have a affiliate link if they want that. So
yeah, if you can, send that over to me. I'll put it in the show notes.
Sure.
That'd be cool. So, all right. So what about a mindset tip? I always like to include this, something that, you know, you like Andy Rosella, like I do as well. Sometimes you just get like, you're out of it. You're like, man, you wake up and you're not very motivated. What do you do to get yourself back on track or get going again if you get off, track?
It's a good question. Happens like literally every day I get off track. And you said you're doing 75 hard?
I did it. I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. I did 75 hard too. Yeah, that was not easy. Especially if you push. The whole point is to push yourself, right?
Yeah, no, it took me 3. I think I was on it for 150 days or 140 days because I messed up. I missed up 2 pictures.
Brutal.
2 times.
Yeah, I got really close to messing up, really close, but I didn't. And biggest mindset tip. I was just talking about this before the call. it's the I can get this done no matter what attitude every single day. Understand that life is not going to be easy all the time. And it's actually like mostly sucky. Like life most of the time is not pleasant. Okay. And I love positivity and I love all that. But if you look at humanity and us as humans and like what, like, we're surrounded by this earth. I'm going a little deep here, but when you really look at us in our rawest form, it's like, dude, you got to earn it every single day. And to earn it every single day, you got to wake up and you got to understand that I'm going to be getting kicked in the teeth probably all day long, but I'm going to figure it out. And you have to cultivate that attitude of I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately every single day. I don't dread it as much. I'm not like, oh, what kind of fire? You know, you say, hey, what's going on, man? Living the dream, putting out fires again. You know, that whole versus, dude, I'm bringing it today. Like nothing's going to stop me. Bring it. Accountant calls. They say, hey, dude, we made a mistake. You actually owe us like 10,000. Cool. Let's go. Done. Next. Oh, house just went upside down and guys pleading insanity. Whatever. Next. You know, let's figure this out. It's that I really like, who said it? I think it was Maxwell Maltz from Psycho-Cybernetics. The best athletes have the shortest memories. So if you can just forget, I mean, imagine Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks, right? When he missed that throw, I think he threw that interception or whatever on the goal line. Dude, if he'd let that just live with him, I'm not even a football fan, but that had to have I would have been devastated, right? Dude, they just shrug it off. And that's the thing is you have to have that I'm going to get this done no matter what, shrug it off mentality, because the bigger you want to go, the better you want to become, the harder it's going to get. It is going to get harder. It doesn't get easier. You see these people with millions of dollars, they have bigger problems.
Right.
That's it. Right. And I talk to these guys personally. I know them. And, you know, like Cody and Dean now, and I got to speak with Andy Frisella at that event and talk with him personally. And these guys have this attitude of, dude, it's just bigger. You literally have the same emotions over losing $100 as you do now losing $100,000. It's the same emotion. It's just how you deal with it and react to it is your choice.
Yeah.
Is that making sense?
Totally. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like Andy Frisella says, there's people out there that are, you know, older than you or younger than you and dumber than you and not as good looking as you that have made millions of dollars more than you because they have just taken the steps and they've just taken action and they just move on. You know what I mean? They just figure it out and then they make shit happen. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And dude, another thing to add, I was talking to my buddy and we're talking vision and we're building this new business. It's an online guitar lessons business. And every great entrepreneur I've talked to, they're like, dude, get a great attorney, because it's not if, it's when you get sued. And just be prepared for it. He's like, if you're going to go big, you're going to get sued. So I was talking to him like, we were at our attorney's office today. I'm like, I'm really glad we're doing this because we're going to get sued. Because with our vision, how big it is, it's inevitable. And so having that attitude of just bring it on. Let's go. You know what I mean? Yeah. And a huge influence for this. And, a book I would recommend. I don't know I think you're going to ask that. I'm sorry if it's out of sequence here.
No, perfect.
For this topic is You Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
I just finished it
dude,
last week.
Unbelievable. I was so I read Jocko Willink's Extreme Ownership, Dichotomy of Leadership, and then Bedros Keuilian's Man Up, and then that one all within 2 weeks. And it was just this barrage of dude, step it up, man.
Dude, I know. I just saw a little video clip real quick on Joe Rogan posted it. David Goggins is doing the Moab 240 race.
Right.
And first in the beginning, he off track 14 or by 7 miles. So he did 14 extra miles. And at mile 200, his 214, he got pulmonary edema, went to the hospital, they released him from the hospital, and he came back out and finished the last however many miles of the
Dude, I know.
240-mile race. Like, and he's just in the video, just like, you don't know me. You don't know. He's like by himself in the middle of nowhere, just screaming. You know what I mean? Just to get it done. So it's amazing. So
Unreal stuff. And that's what I'm talking about, is like when you decide, because I was living mediocrity. I was looking at going to prison. I was there. I was a piece of crap person, like not doing anything with my life at that point, right? Not helping society in any way, shape, or form. In fact, taking from it. I was on food stamps, okay?
yeah.
Bottom of the barrel, homeless. And to just making that decision of, I am going all in. And I am waking up every day and facing every challenge, no matter how hard it gets. And it gets hard. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It gets hard in every area of your life, in your business, in your relationships, in your communication skills, in your leadership skills. I'm just now realizing, oh, you want to play with the big boys? Yeah, your leadership and communication is good at this level. But if you want to go to multi-million-dollar level, dude, you got to become a new person. You got to literally turn yourself inside out, man.
Yeah.
Become a new person. And so it's every level that you get to, you're going to face that decision. Am I going to just push past that and be responsible at that level? Am I going to have that millionaire mindset? Am I going to have that, 8-figure mindset? And I use money because it's an easy way to, measure. But the mindset, you have to make that decision. It's like, if I wanted to, I'd be like, dude, I'm good with 40, 50, 60 deals a year. And I could just stay right here doing what I'm doing and just keep that sustainable. But it's like, okay, you're faced with a decision. Are you going to bring it every day like you did for this to earn that next level of life that you want? And the answer is yes, obviously. But that's the biggest mindset tip, is wake up every single day saying, bring it on. Whatever life throws at me, I've got this, and I'm going to handle it, and I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah, right on. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. And anything else you want to add, or where can people find out more about Jaromy Tagg, your business? Do you do coaching? Because you're so, obviously you're successful. Have you started a coaching business yet?
So I'm not coaching. I'm really focusing on the guitar coaching program. So if you want guitar coaching, I can do that. But I know this is a real estate podcast. But I do have a group you can join, which is Wholesaling Tips and Accountability. And that's a free Facebook group. And you can find me there. And from there, we can connect on Messenger or whatever. You can add me at my first and last name on Facebook and shoot me a DM saying you heard me here, and we can talk. So other than that, I'm not coaching, but you can join my Facebook group and we give all the tips, and I'm literally like giving away my entire back end system on how we're running our business right now. So.
Oh, sweet. All right. And then your company is Mid-Columbia Property Solutions, right?
Correct. Yep.
Somebody's looking up there and they want to buy some property and get in contact with Jaromy and his team, right?
Yep. Get in contact with us, get on our buyers list, or get in touch with our realtor, and she'll shoot you all our deals.
Right on. Well,
Yep.
Jaromy, thanks for being here. It's been fun. I want to get in the future on another one when you're 10 more levels above, and teach us all your secrets. So I appreciate you being here, man. Thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome. I appreciate being here. And I hope to be on here at least 3 levels ahead. I don't want to wait for 10. This has been cool.
All right, cool. Well, Jaromy, have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon.
You too.
See ya.